Join the VLGA and LGIU for their next Global Executive Live panel on Thursday the 22nd of May, addressing a pressing issue for local government. This webinar will explore the experiences and lessons from across the globe when it comes to civility in public life. Hear from experts about what they're observing, the reasons for a decline in civility, and the impact this is having on retaining talent and promoting diversity. Tickets are free for VLGA members and alumni, and $60 for non-members, excluding GST. Head to the VLGA website to find out more and secure your place. And we look forward to seeing you at the Global Executive Live panel Thursday the 22nd of May from 5:30 p.m. Unrest at Golden Plains, a councillor resignation and the mayor on a leave of absence. A warning of broader implications for the sector after a federal court decision. A community group vows alternative action after its council funding was terminated. The New South Wales government responds to inquiry recommendations on local government funding. A serial pest councillor suspended. And a South Australian council loses its third CEO in just 18 months. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. All of that and more just ahead on the Local Government News Roundup, your regular look at what's happening across the local government sector in Australia and beyond. It's brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Golden Plains Shire Councillor Brett Cunningham has resigned with immediate effect. Mr Cunningham served as a councillor from the 2020 election and held the position of mayor during 2023 and 24. He cited the need to prioritise his and his family's health and well-being as the reason for his resignation. The council says it will consult the Victorian Electoral Commission about a process to fill the vacancy. The resignation comes as the council's mayor, Sarah Hayden, is on a leave of absence in the wake of controversial media reports about alleged behaviour during a recent overseas trip with family. Councillor Hayden denies the allegations and said she's taking formal legal action and is now on a period of leave. The council recently elected Councillor Helena Kirby as its acting mayor. There were two attempts to fill the position. In the first vote, Emma Robbins and Gavin Gamble could not be split. The council returned the next day for another attempt, with both Councillors Robbins and Kirby nominated, but Councillor Robbins withdrew as a professional courtesy. The interim CEO of Central Goldfields Shire Council has warned of the implications for other councils after the federal court upheld a Fair Work Commission decision which allows the council's workers to jointly negotiate an enterprise agreement with Ararat Rural City Council staff. Sally Jones told the Herald Sun that the council was disappointed with the federal court decision to deny its appeal, but respected it. She said there was insufficient clarity about what the joint bargaining looks like, which may lead to delays in having an agreement agreed to and voted on. While the Australian Services Union believes the decision is a victory for workers' rights, Ms Jones is concerned that the union has presented a false narrative about pay rises while it plans to advocate for rate increases. She also clarified that the council has not misused ratepayers' money on the appeal, as their barrister provided pro bono representation. The Mayor of Casey, Stephen Cooman, says his council will remain in the South East Council's Climate Change Alliance despite the withdrawal of Greater Dandenong and Frankston councils in the past year. Councillor Cooman is the new chair of the alliance and told the Cranbourne News the council strongly believes in its purpose and benefits. The alliance, which delivers projects like the Energy Saver program and Flood Resilient Infrastructure project, continues to operate with 8 member councils in the South East region. The City of Ballarat has confirmed that the termination of its funding partnership with local environmental group Breeze will stand following a review process. The original decision to end the partnership was made in February after concerns were raised about alleged anti-Semitic and discriminatory statements by a Breeze board member. In a statement, Mayor Tracy Hargraves said that while both parties engaged in multiple dispute resolution meetings, Breeze has now accepted the termination decision and declined to proceed to mediation. But that might not be the end of the matter. According to the Ballarat Courier, it has reported that the group has withdrawn from the dispute process and is seeking alternative action, which may include going to the Local Government Inspectorate and the Victorian Ombudsman. VCAT has approved a controversial 3-storey mixed-use development in Lara, overturning a decision of Greater Geelong Council, which received over 125 objections. The Geelong Advertiser reported that the decision means a planning permit is granted with reduced parking requirements. VCAT member Alison Glynn determined that the proposal's community benefits through commercial office space outweighed potential parking and traffic concerns. The development was originally proposed as a 4-storey building and was reduced to 3 after an initial round of objections. Hume City Council wants to see Melbourne's tram network extended to the airport and Campbellfield. The Star Weekly reports that the proposal is part of the council's submission to Infrastructure Victoria's draft 30-year strategy. It says the aim could be achieved with the extension of Route 59 from Airport West and Route 1 from North Coburg. The council's broader submission also advocates for increased social housing, kindergarten infrastructure, libraries, aquatic centres and improved bus services. And Campaspe Shire Council is enlisting the support of residents in its fight against the state government's proposed Emergency Services Fund. It's made a template letter available for people to send to the Premier and other members of Parliament. The letter outlines concerns about the extra financial impost of the proposal, particularly on farmers. Later today, a new episode of VLGA Connect will drop on YouTube and podcast, and one of my guests this week is the Mayor of Manningham City Council, Deirdre Diamenti. Councillor Diamenti is speaking on behalf of the more than 30 councils who want to see a rethink of the state government's planned rollout of glass recycling bins by 2027. And she says for Manningham, the costs just don't stack up.
So we are really keen to do more in the waste management area. But things like this, it's a value for money equation where the implementation costs and the ongoing costs do not relate to an environmental or a recycling benefit. Whereas expanding the use of the container deposit scheme, as an example, would have a similar, if not higher, environmental benefit and be at a much, much lower cost.
Councillor Diamenti also updates us on the impacts of the North East Link tunnel on her residents and a renewed push for better data and future-proofing to deal with air quality impacts.
What are the dust emissions? What are the other sort of noise pollutant emissions, and how is the project actively working to manage those? That's a big thing our residents have been constantly asking, and at the moment the data they see can be anything between 6 and 12 months old. The other big advocacy point we're talking about is whether the exhaust stack from the tunnel in Bulleen should have a filter, and that's no different to the Westgate Tunnel advocacy.
That's just a taste of my discussion with Councillor Deirdre Diamenti, the Mayor of Manningham City Council, coming up on this week's edition of VLGA Connect. I'll also catch up with Tony Ranick from Hunt & Hunt Lawyers to unpack what's been a busy few weeks of monitor reports and legal decisions with impacts for the local government sector. Check it out on YouTube and podcast later today, a new edition of VLGA Connect. On to our New South Wales report now, and the New South Wales Government has announced it will support 15 out of 17 recommendations from a parliamentary inquiry into local government funding. It's proposed 5 key reforms to ensure councils are financially sustainable while maintaining local autonomy. They include continued IPART oversight of council rates, requiring comprehensive spending reviews for rate increases, simplifying special variation processes, streamlining financial reporting and establishing an expert advisory panel to support reform implementation. Local government fees and charges will also be audited to ensure they reflect inflation and changes in market costs. LG New South Wales has given a cautious welcome to the state government's response to the financial sustainability crisis affecting local councils. The peak body's President Mayor Phyllis Miller, OAM, acknowledged the helpful clarity on the government's position, while noting some concerns about potential increased administrative burdens. The establishment of an expert advisory panel and support for increased Commonwealth funding were welcomed, while NG New South Wales seeks more detail in key areas such as cost shifting and development contributions. A Snowy Monaro regional councillor has been suspended for 3 months following a series of abusive social media posts. The Sydney Morning Herald reported that Andrew Thaler was found to have engaged in misconduct after making discriminatory and harassing comments about fellow councillors and staff. An investigation by the Office of Local Government centred on 4 social media posts made in March, including one where Mr Thaler made derogatory comments about a fellow councillor's appearance and accused a council employee of being an unqualified diversity hire. The suspension comes after a turbulent period which saw Thaler accumulate 19 misconduct complaints in just 2 months. The suspension will take effect next week, and Thaler has been ordered to make a public apology. Waverley Council and Lyme have signed a landmark agreement that will cap the number of e-bikes in Sydney's eastern suburbs and establish designated parking areas. The Daily Telegraph reported that the deal is set to commence on the 30th of June for a 2-year period. The agreement includes provisions for no-go zones, where bikes cannot be operated or parked, and requires Lyme to relocate improperly parked bikes within 3 hours or face impoundment and fines. Meanwhile, 9 News reported that the council has started to impound shared e-bikes that pose safety risks or obstruct public spaces. 3 providers other than Lyme are yet to sign agreements with the council. And Central Coast Council is asking the New South Wales Premier, Chris Minns, to declare a state of emergency for the Entrance North and Wamberal Beach areas due to severe coastal erosion that poses imminent risk to properties and lives. Acting Mayor Doug Eaton said the situation has deteriorated to the point where several houses are at imminent risk of collapsing into the sea. The council has provided independent engineering reports and set a deadline of 3 p.m. Friday for the Premier's response. It's also scheduled an additional extraordinary council meeting for May the 13th to determine next steps if no declaration is made. More New South Wales news in brief. Muswellbrook Shire Council is providing support to residents affected by approximately 50,000 grey-headed flying foxes, offering free access to cleaning equipment and protective covers to deal with droppings. The protected species has formed a camp along Muscle Creek, and residents experiencing issues are encouraged to contact the council while being reminded not to harm or handle the animals. Retired Blue Mountains councillor Kevin Schreiber has received a Local Government New South Wales Lifetime Achievement Award, recognising his nearly 30-year career in public service, including multiple terms as Sutherland Shire Mayor and service on Blue Mountains City Council. His award was personally delivered by Blue Mountains Mayor Mark Greenhill. And Glen Innes Severn Council is upgrading its CCTV infrastructure with the installation of 29 new high-definition cameras across multiple locations. It comes in response to community requests and aims to enhance public safety and security, and will commence between late May and early June. Catching up now on news from other parts of the country. In Queensland, Shane Gray has been appointed as the new CEO for Boulia Shire Council. Mr Gray has held various senior executive positions in local government, including roles at Barcaldine Regional Council, Gympie Regional Council and Nanango Shire Council. He takes over from acting CEO Kayleen Sloman. Previous CEO Lynn Moore announced her retirement last November, effective at the end of February this year, after more than 11 years in the position. Whitsunday Regional Council is calling for substantial federal funding for infrastructure upgrades at the Whitsunday Coast Airport after experiencing rapid growth that has pushed its facilities to capacity ahead of schedule. Radio 4MK reported that the airport has seen passenger numbers double in a decade and recently surpassed 500,000 passengers. It requires $30.85 million for Stage 1 projects from its 2024 master plan to accommodate the continued growth. The Courier Mail reported that Noosa Council is set to vote on a bold proposal that would provide full infrastructure charge rebates for community housing built by registered providers, aiming to address the region's severe rental crisis. The policy requires developments to be managed as long-term rental housing for at least 20 years and remain affordable. The council says the housing shortage has reached crisis point and is affecting both the local economy and social fabric. ABC News has reported on leadership instability at Peterborough District Council in South Australia's mid-north, where 3 chief executives have resigned within an 18-month period, including the most recent CEO Leanne Babbage, who has quit after just 2 months. The frequent turnover has raised concerns among local residents and with MP Jeff Brock about stability and recruitment costs. The council has not made any comment on the departures. The City of Perth has been awarded the 2025 Platinum Waterwise Council of the Year for its innovative water conservation initiatives, including stormwater recycling and smart irrigation systems that have saved 60 million litres of water in 2023-24. A record 47 local governments are now endorsed under the state's Waterwise Council programs, with several councils receiving special recognition for their water conservation efforts, including the Mandurah Aquatic and Recreation Centre being named Waterwise Aquatic Centre of the Year. The City of Stirling has commenced a 12-month trial of a safer exchange site, providing a secure location with CCTV surveillance and other safety measures for people to complete online marketplace transactions. The initiative follows Victoria's successful implementation of 35 similar sites, and if the trial proves successful, the city plans to establish more safer exchange locations throughout the area. And the Local Government Association of the Northern Territory has launched a traineeship pilot program aiming to place up to 25 Territorians in council positions across the top end, offering formal qualifications through supported on-the-job learning. The 2-year program focuses primarily on administration qualifications and provides mentoring and networking opportunities to help build the local government workforce in remote and regional areas. Support for the Local Government News Roundup comes from Symphony 3. Local government teams shouldn't have to waste time on manual data entry into outdated systems. With Symphony 3 Smart Glue, you don't have to. You can automate repetitive tasks, eliminate double handling, and connect legacy systems with ease. Smart Glue helps councils streamline operations, reduce errors, and deliver better services without replacing your existing systems. Let's build smarter, more connected local governments. Learn more at www.symphony3.com. Time for our global report now, and controversy has begun to swirl around those English councils that have come under the control of the Reform UK party. On Monday, the party's chairman announced that its councils would not be permitted to fly any flags other than the Union Jack and St George's Cross. Labour and Conservative MPs criticised the exclusion of county and Ukrainian flags, and localgov.co.uk reported that the party later clarified that county flags would also be permitted to be flown. It's been reported that pride flags are particularly being targeted by the ban, which will apply to flagpoles, balconies, receptions and council chamber walls. Meanwhile, the party's new mayor at Lincolnshire County Council, Andrea Jenkins, announced that she would be eliminating diversity officer positions in the council, only to then discover the council doesn't employ any such officers. The Independent reported that Reform officials then claimed the roles existed under different titles, while unions have warned against potential unlawful dismissals in other councils where DEI positions do exist. Another UK council has been targeted for government intervention over its unsustainable financial position. Government commissioners have been appointed to oversee Spelthorne Borough Council in Surrey in what has been described as a best value intervention. The council has accumulated debts of over £1 billion, with the intervention set to last until May 2030. The council was found to have the second highest debt level for a district or borough council in England, with inspectors noting a culture of optimism bias and a lack of consistent leadership. Over to the US, where New York City's controversial congestion pricing program generated $159 million in the first quarter of the year, according to AMNY.com, falling slightly short of its $160 million target, but remaining on track for its annual goal of $500 million. The program, which charges vehicles entering Manhattan's central business district a base toll of $9 during peak hours, faces ongoing legal challenges from the federal government, while receiving praise from transit advocates for reducing traffic and generating funds for public transportation improvements. In North Carolina, Charlotte City Council has voted this week to preemptively settle a potential lawsuit from its police chief. NPR station WFAE reported that the six-figure settlement relates to a dispute over threatening text messages sent to Police Chief Johnny Jennings by a former council member. The confrontation arose after then-councillor Tariq Bakari pushed for adoption of military-style vests following a deadly incident where officers were killed. But Mr Jennings opposed them, citing community policing concerns. That led to threatening messages demanding the chief's resignation, the disclosure of which Mr Jennings has claimed were damaging to his reputation, potentially costing him future opportunities. From New Zealand, and Christchurch City Council has unanimously decided to continue delivering water services in-house rather than creating a separate entity after months of planning and consultation. The in-house model was strongly favoured by the public, with 80% of submissions supporting the option, according to The Post. The in-house model maintains the status quo with minor adjustments to ensure water revenue is used exclusively for water services, avoiding the $15 million in set-up costs that would have been required for alternative council-controlled organisation options. And we end up in the Caribbean today with the mayor of a small town on the French Caribbean island of Guadeloupe temporarily closed government agencies and halted municipal services this week. It's all due to a political dispute with city council members who refused to support the creation of an executive delegation. ABC News reported that the closure of Le Gossier, affecting its 26,000 residents, was expected to last until at least Wednesday. The island's prefect planned to file a court appeal to suspend the mayor's shutdown order. That's the latest from the Local Government News Roundup, edition number 449, recorded on Friday the 9th of May 2025. Comments and feedback can be sent to our email address, which is lgweeklynews@gmail.com, and you can find out more about this episode, including story links and a transcript, at lgnewsroundup.com. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. Look out for that new episode of VLGA Connect coming your way today. And thanks also to Symphony 3 for their support for the podcast, bringing you simple, connected customer experiences. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. I'll be back with more news very soon. Until then, thanks for listening, and bye for now. I'm thrilled to welcome Symphony 3 to the Local Government News Roundup family. If you're a local council, you know how challenging it can be to manage data across all your different systems. That's where Symphony 3 comes in. They've developed Smart Glue, a platform that integrates over 55 council systems, automating data flow without the need for manual work. It turns confusion into simplicity. With Smart Glue, councils save time, reduce errors, and empower staff to focus on what really matters. Their clients see a real difference. Up to 20% boost in productivity, with savings of over $30,000 per integration every year. Symphony 3 helps councils work smarter, faster, and more efficiently, all while better supporting the communities they serve.